This is actually a wine that my wife and I made. She was the creative director, did all our work. This wine was actually, it got a gold at the Winemaker magazine competition this year, which we were pleasantly surprised with, because this wine was the first white we ever made, and was quite a train wreck, actually. We thought we were going to do a stir lees, and we just did kind of a spin on the lees, turned into a big stinky bomb. Trying to fix that, learned a lot of lessons about copper sulfate. We started this off as a competition. She was going to make one, I was going to make one, and see who did better. They were both terrible individually. One really overwrote, one was not the best, it was left, and then put it together and a little bit of time. It actually made it pretty good. We used, I think, 4 different yeasts in this one: VA11, GRE, CY 3709 or 3079. And then I don't recall. Yeah, I don't recall what the third or the fourth piece of that. Check my notes. Any questions on this one? No, it's maintenance right around that race. Probably had a chance to try it.
Let's see if I get shot up in the camera.
Yes, sir.
7?
You use 4 different yeasts.
Correct.
How large batches?
I think we had 2 carboys for each yeast. Chardonnay.
Alcohol content. This hot.
I use a lot of oak. My wife uses not a lot of oak. Hardly any oak. So mine tastes like a wood fence, and hers like a fruit bomb. So put together we ended up blending it together. And sure. I put ethanol. She put half per ethanol, so 3/4. I don't think we could recreate this wine ever if we tried. There's no way.
This is oh, can you hear me now? Okay, this is Friday Chomp 2011. From our vineyards. Basically, 300 pounds of grapes produce 32 gallons of must, at pH 3.4, PA of 1.12. So, I mentioned that, and then the 24-hour crush bricks was 28.5. And by the time we got to look at this again, after 24 hours, the pH was 3.35 to 3.4. And since a couple of the club members have come and started to deal with this Barbera stuff. I added 2.5 gallons of water, and I keep track of how much I add with the yeast and all the other little additions. We added pectin, 13 grams of medium toast French oat, sawdust to the must. Some gossamer tablets, if you're not familiar with those, these are the tablets just put in, kind of like slow release aspirins, big aspirins. Clove yeast, Opti Grid, Fourth Brew, Napa Plus, and this goes 8 weeks in a 10-gallon old barrel. And then, the one you want? The one I want, the one that's one. And we mixed in something called 3 gallons of Mortals in, 5 gallons of Keys Rock. And it still had a bitter back half, so we find it with 5 egg whites, and we ended up being 1.5. See what it's got. I didn't even pay attention to that. I finally got it down. Actually, by the time you put a little water in it, you bring it down. So, I hear some people saying that, you know, when I went and rattled out all that stuff, I have found that Barbera, for me anyway, is not necessarily an easy wine to make. You really have to pay attention to it and fuss with it. So anyway, see what you think. Oh, this was 2014 Golden. Here, at the Jubilee.
We still need fours, guys. That's a full-time permanent job tonight. You just take your seats away at this point. So the next wine that's coming around is a 2012 GSM, Grenache Syrah Mourvedre, from Henry.
Here it is, by Denver City, called Pine Tree Farm. If you have any questions, ask Linda down there. She took wonderful notes on the vineyard and the grower. It's a little vineyard, 6 acres, 3 acres of Syrah, half American clone, half French clone, 1.5 of Grenache, 1.5 Mourvedre. So it's specifically set up for a Rhone drive. Corinne, the winemaker there, thinks these wonderful Rhone standalones and also blends. So anyway, this was a group effort. Steve and Mary are part of it, Linda and Seth are part of it, the Somerset are part of it, Mingo's part of it. So it's a kind of a group effort. Tom was part of this. So anyway, the Syrah came in early September. These were all early September for Syrah, late September for the Grenache, and I think early October for the Mourvedre. They were all brought in, adjusted to about 25 bricks, gave about 3 to 5, 6. All of them were fermented with L22, 26 yeast, fermented dry nuts. They were all set aside. And then when it was time for them to be blended, I just poured everything I had into a barrel. So the blend ended up being 50 Syrah, 30 Grenache, 20 Mourvedre. And it's been in the 1-year-old American oak barrel last year. Yes.
Henry, did you consider using different yeasts, and if not, why not?
Making red wines, I think that I like a yeast that is fairly vigorous, and a yeast that gets it done to the dryness. And if I have a wine that's going to be aged for about 2 years, I think some of the nuances are lost. So I like to use the L2226, which is a good solid fermenter. It's never let me down. Just got a goal with the Winemaker magazine and also the computer.
So Henry, what's that intermittent as a blend? Do you consider it as a blend?
Yes, actually, no, it's a pretty strong blend. And it's fit the barrel.
Did you get some this time? This one, no, I don't know. Part of two.
The next wine we have is going to be coming around is the 2012 Mavedra, the Wind Shadow. Who's that is? Jim.
Kind of hard to talk about this wine. This is our second wine. We bought 500 pounds that we picked from Kupos cellar, Kupos Winery in Rough and Ready. Rich is 25. And we got them home, and that's the last right thing we did. So we did 4 things wrong. First, we didn't realize that the yeast we use, the Syrah, is prone to produce H2S. And quantities don't use nutrients properly. We didn't use any nutrients. Syrah, SYR, from the Rhone Valley. And we also had an obsession with keeping the temperature very, very cool in fermentation. I built rooms that can control the temperature. And so a combination of things produced tremendous stink in this wine. And we went for about 4 months, racked it 4 times, beat it with a 3/4 inch copper pipe. Did everything. The splash racking isn't the word. And we thought we had it beat, and we didn't. We let it dry. We were going to throw it out. So we left it, and we thought we had it licked after about 10 months. It wasn't. Came back. We tried 0.1% copper sulfate in amounts that I couldn't tell you. They were so small that were measured in drops because we were afraid of what it could do. And then left it on for about 2 days and racked again. We waited another 3 months, and we did that process one more time. And we finally bottled after almost 2 years. We don't think there's any more sulfur in there. This wine won a gold at the bottle shop, and it also won a gold at the Nevada County Fair. And I don't know what the deal with Britain is, but it's got, I think it was a bronze at the state fair. So we think it came out all right after all of the work we had to go through. Any questions? I want to tell you, I learned my lesson. I mean, big lesson on that. Well, yeah, the whole, every bit of, I spent so much time talking to everybody involved, from Henry Kupos, I bought the grapes from, to everyone, as to what happened here. And it took a long time, and finally, yeah, okay, Jim, you got the education here. And, yeah, we learned a lot, and no, that won't happen again.
The next line to Rika, Cody.
Okay, we started with 86 gallons of Eureka. And pH was 3.86, pH was about 63, bricks were 24.75. So we just went through the process of putting in the yeast and letting it set for a long time. I think we put it in oak about 2 months after we got it, the time to get all the way to the sludge off the bottom, and then put it into oak for 8 months. And we wrapped it during that 8 months, probably 3 times. And that's it. Didn't add anything to it. Same yeast all the way through. I'm trying to think of the yeast on paper. That's what I would say. I think it was B45.
What year?
2012. Well, there were 2 brand new, one was 3 years old. Yeah. No, I can't find the piece that I used. It won the gold at
Tony's being shy. That wine was also best at red. Wait for the pours to catch up. Okay, the next wine coming around is actually also 2012, one that I made. It's Syrah. And this wine won a gold medal at the Jubilee this year. I had really high hopes for this wine, for this fruit. We picked these grapes up in El Dorado County from Vycroft Vineyard. They were beautiful coming off the vine. They pulled it up nice and inky after 3 or 4 day cold soak. And fermentation went great. My kind of protocol is cooler fermentations. Jim was talking about, kind of embrace that. And it's about 60 ferments won't get up above typically mid-70s, so I get a longer, slower fermentation. Try to draw more out of the grapes. It can tend to be a little harsher initially, but it tends to come together in a lot of times. just gotta make enough so that you can enjoy it. So when I went to press this, I was hoping to make enough for a half gallon, or not a half gallon. That would be very much, would it? Half a barrel. Sorry about that. And when I went to press this, it was so macerated that we ended up clogging the press. I probably lost 7 or 8 gallons of wine easily. Just not able to get it out of the press. This car broken. And so I was bound and determined to at least have some Syrah. So what I did is put 5 gallons of it into a carboy, and I used the rest in a blend, which you'll try in a second. And so I don't think this grape quite did it justice with this wine, but we still squeaked out a whole individually. So. This is a Syrah, 2012 Syrah, Grape Strat Eldorado. I'm typically trying to shoot for, a lot of folks are really focused on pH prior to fermentation. I guess I might pay a little more attention to TA, and depending on the varietal, I'm typically shooting for a TA 7 to 7.5 prior to fermentation, which is part of the reason for the 3-day cold soak to get that right.
We understand that some of the grapes now will have a new
Smoky grapes, yeah, exactly. Oily, yeah, especially now. And again, just the longer, kind of colder fermentation, and I typically always use 3 different yeasts, and really just going through yeast to do different things with the wines to try to blend that together, and things that will bring out the varietal characteristics, things that are going to bring out more mouthfeel and structure, and finish and aroma. So I'm trying to do that with each wine. So that, like I said, the ambient temperature in the room it typically doesn't get over 60. That's just a little rigid, a 2-inch foam rigid insulation room with a little wall-mounted AC unit, so it stays about 60 degrees in there. And the temperature in the fermenter itself usually won't get up over 75. Cold soak temperature usually stays about 60 unless I drop some ice bombs in there, which I didn't do this year. So this wine and the next couple of wines, this is all from our second year of making wine. So. Yes, sir. Am I right?
Look at this. This is the real deal, man. This is no screwing around. I like yours. You did? Yeah.
So the next wine that's making us look around
Where'd you get that glass?
is a direct result of the pressing of the Syrah going fairly wrong.
Double dip.
So we happened to also make a Touriga with Tony, same grapes from the Touriga group ride that year. And I had a lot of extra Touriga because St. Amant went a little crazy with their pump. We showed up with our little fermenters and they had a big 4-inch pump and they're like 3 seconds to fill everything up. So everybody went home with a lot more wine than for most they paid for. So I had a lot of extra Touriga, which actually worked out good because I had less Syrah than I needed to fill a barrel. So no, we took it. They did, yeah, they did, and then pumped it straight in. Yeah. So what I did is I took the Syrah that I had left, put that in the barrel. It had 5 gallons of Tempranillo from the year before that wasn't so great. That was the first year we made wine. We'll talk about that Tempranillo. And then I filled the rest of that with Touriga and called it an Iberian blend, which is grapes that are fairly common in that area. And this is probably my favorite wine from that year that we made. Again, pretty much the same process, cold soak, longer, slower fermentation, still shooting for TA of 7 to 7.5 prior to fermentation. Yes. If I drop some dry ice in there, some ice bombs, I can get a little colder. But I found I do hit it with at least 50 parts per million SO2 right at crush, which helps. So usually 3 days hasn't been a problem, and I'm stirring that a couple times a day. every day while cold soaking. That's really important. If you let it sit, you will get a nice stinky must. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Definitely want to keep stirring it just as you whip it or punching down. I use, it depends. Yeah. Drop it right in there, stir it in, and let it sit. Yeah. Each varietal was fermented with 3 different yeasts, and then all blended together. So there's 6 different yeasts. Well, probably not all 6. I'm sure there's some that are the same, but ultimately that went in there. And did I say that one was a gold medal at the Winemaker magazine. I entered it as a red blend. It is about 56% Syrah, 20-something% Touriga, and maybe 17% Company. The last one of mine that's coming around is also from 2012. And this is the Touriga that was made with Tony and the rest of the group that year. We just happened to get great grapes from Santa Mont that year, and kind of hard to make a bad wine out of those grapes. So, Donna made one. So again, same process with this grape. I'm a big fan of Portuguese and Spanish varietals. I was really excited to make this particular wine. Really happy with the way that it turned out. This wine actually had a double gold at the state fair. And Barbara, that's the last one.
But they're so good.
I'm pretty sure this was all American, meaning chocolate. It went in a neutral barrel, and I used oak. And then with the oak too, I throw that in during or even prior to fermentation. I use like a little in the produce section of the grocery store. You can get those little vegetable bags, like a mesh vegetable bag. Throw the oak in there prior to fermentation. Leave it there during fermentation. Pull it out, clean it off, and then throw it back in with the wine afterwards. And with the cubes, I just let them ride out the whole time.
I've got at least a minute or more.
No, I usually have like a little,
minute? Yeah.
For talking, I have a little, you can do that.
Just check it.
Yeah, for talking, I have a little, stainless case of gas and stuff.
There's ways to bump that up, like, get it better. Boost the signal out. Yeah, but I'm good. To my phone, you're going through like a few networks.
The next wine is also a 2012 Touriga from Sonia.
What was it? What was saying?
I guess you might be able to call it the Tariga show, actually. This is Tariga from the same Amador, same lot.
I must support him there.
2012. We harvested on October 21st that year. I wonder when they harvested this year. It's probably already done, right? Yeah. The pH was 3.88. What I measured on mine, TA was 4 and the bricks 26.5. Cold smoked it for a couple of days and I added some tartaric acid. And I brought the TA up to 6.6 and the temperature got down to 54, 57. The pH didn't move though, it still was 3.87, but I went with it. I had some Noblest before I pitched the yeast and I used I had 400 pounds and I had 100 pounds in 4 different containers and used 4 different yeasts. I used the closed, D254, B45, and D21. I also used OptiRed. Yeah. No, they were in 4 separate 20-gallon food containers. Yeah. I added some OptiRed a day or 2 later. And I used neutral barrels. I had a 15-gallon, a 10-gallon, and 5, and I put it in each of those and added barometer, added some French oak cubes. Can't think of anything else that's really pertinent to add to that, but anyway, there it is.
Where do we go?
Oh, we got a gold medal at the Gingerly and a silver at the state. Any questions? I got it down to 54, 57 with ice bombs. No, it's just like, orange juice containers filled with water and frozen in containers. Yeah.
Are you using the same grapes as the other trees that we've had this evening?
Yes, the question was, did I use the same grapes? And yes, they were all the same grapes, 2012 from Amador County.
But you used 4 yeasts.
I used 4 different yeasts, yes.
You get pepper quality with the others.
Oh. I don't know, maybe it was close. 4 different containers and then blended them after they finished primary fermentation. I put them in malolactic fermentation also with the Chris Hansen, I can't really pronounce it, Onius or something like that, Panaflora. Yeah. So did you blend it 1-to-1 or did you do a bench test? No, I pressed it and drew it off again. I didn't do any bench testing. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Tony, did you taste any difference?
We got a couple more wines. We get a couple more pours up here. That'd be helpful.
Curious.
The question was, your honor, did I taste any difference from the 4 different? I think we're all completely different. I actually didn't even like the BM45, but I still included it in the blend. Yeah. Because I didn't want to waste it.
Yeah, I noticed too, when doing fermentation with different yeast, there are completely different wines immediately. Like, there's no way around the nose, different tannin, the whole, everything is different. Really, I mean, for me, it's really about just fermenting size, yeah, I'm not using it, and ultimately blend the barrel. You can certainly do that. I mean, if I was a bigger winery doing, much bigger lots, I would do that certainly before I actually bought. All right. The next wine making its way around is a 2011 Merlot, and this is from France.
All right, this is a 2011 Merlot. The grapes came from Alexander Valley. I didn't bring my notes today, but there were some notes. I got to tell you, the fruit was really good. It was about 25 bricks. Everything natural, normal D254 on this one, and the yeast food. And I got a gold medal at the International, and I got a silver at Jubilee, a silver at the Orange County, and a silver at the State Fair. It's an American oak, and I had it in the barrel a couple of years. What else can I say? I didn't even know I had it in the house. I checked this morning before I went to work. It was an older barrel. I wouldn't say it was neutral, but it was an older barrel. And I stored all of my wine in San Francisco at my mom's house, right in the city, which is kind of in a foggy area, so it's usually actually very cool over there. And for those of you who know my mom, she did really well making wine in a cool environment. My mom always does better than I do. And my sister has done very well too. And my mom could. And so I actually make fermented wine in Sacramento, and usually I hope by Christmas or January I get it to the city. I don't always, but for what it's worth, my mom makes her wine in San Francisco, and her wine is always ready for the competitions a year before mine. And she just started making wine when she was 80. What's that? How do you get it? Rex wants to know how I get it there, very carefully. You know, sometimes I have to take 2 or 3 or 4 beer kegs at a time. It just depends. You know, it's a lot of work sometimes, but I live here. I have a place to store in San Francisco, so I got to do what I got to do. Thank you.
You guys ready for dessert? All right, the last one coming around is a open heart plum. Plum. And this is from Rex Park.
These are the plums from our backyard and the neighbor's backyard. Yeah, it's a state wine. I was working at a company in Concord, California, making artificial kidneys, probably in the 80s. And on the lunch hour, I walked out into the old orchard and stepped on something that looked like a plum. It looked like it was green and gray and not ripe. But when I stepped on it, it was blood red inside. So I picked it up. I actually found one that wasn't broken. I picked it up and took it into the nursery. They said it was an open heart plum. So that was probably around 1984. So I got a tree. I had the nursery order me a tree, and I started it in the yard. Lo and behold, a few years later, I found out the neighbor had the same tree. Well, they're really not very common. I mean, I actually had to look all over the mess when the tree was starting to die in the 90s. It was getting older, and so I thought I'd get a new one. Well, I looked and looked and looked, and finally I found an orchard up in Santa Rosa that had like 20 acres of different types of trees. And I went up, Barbara and I went up there, and we brought one home and planted it. So now I have two of them. One is really vigorous, and the other one is on its last legs. But it's an amazing fruit. They're probably the size of a jumbo egg. They're blood red inside, but when they're ripe, they look kind of gray and green on the outside. They don't even look like they're ripe. And when you bite into them, it's not like a plum, it's more like an apple. So it really makes a fantastic wine, and that's what this is from. Actually, I freeze them, I pit them, I have them, and I pit them and freeze them, and I sprinkle them with pectin enzyme. Freeze them, and then I put them in a bag, like a 5-gallon bucket, and just suspend it and let it drip out. After about 2 days, I collect it, and while I'm doing that, I spray it with like 1% metasulfite solution to keep the yeast, the bacteria from starting any kind of foreign yeast. So after that, I maybe get about a gallon of juice for 10 pounds of fruit. But it's very pure because the pectin enzyme just keeps everything clear, and then the bag just drips down, and it's so crystal clear when it's even starting, before it's starting to ferment. And then I add usually like Premier Cuvée, which is a Vanna strain yeast. It's a very aggressive yeast that will ferment down to even 40, 45 degrees. It's very, very, very aggressive. So it takes maybe 8 to 10 weeks to ferment. And then I just let it clarify, set the yeast cell out, and then maybe rack it off a couple times. And I usually make around about an 8% sugar addition, so it's dry at that point. When I start out, it's probably about 12% residual sugar, so I have to bump it up to like 22 sugar. And then I add nutrients and get it going, and then after the fermentation's over and everything's dry, it's probably around 11.5% alcohol. And then I add sugar to bring it up to about 8%, and then because I had the sugar, I sterile filter. And that's it. Actually, about 3 years ago, I made 15 gallons. 5 gallons off each tree. This year, the neighbor's tree only had 2 plums, and my 2 trees only had maybe 100. It's very spotty from year to year. Anyone that's for show?
That wraps up our gold medal winners. We have, again, a couple from bridal focus groups. We've got some Chardonnay over here. We've got Petit Syrah over here. So, and there are still some pours left of the gold medal wine. So this is kind of a fun meeting. So we get to try some great wines. We get to hang out, we can socialize a little bit.
Hi, I'm Joyce Mathers, and I wanted to let you know, I usually don't talk about this, but I judge for the State Fair Home Wine, I judge for the State Fair Commercial, and I judge the Bottle Shop this year. And what I see between commercial and home wine is the biggest problem home winemakers have is too many tannins left in their red wines. So if you notice, all the wines tonight were smooth. They were not tannic. And if you listen to the winemakers, they were racking and racking and racking, or using cold to drop out the tannins. Another way to do it is to filter when you bottle. So that's just a suggestion if you want to move from silver to gold.
So again, this is kind of a fun meeting. Take your time, socialize, hang out, come up and try some, finish off these gold medal winners. Rental focus groups again. Chardonnay is over there. Petit Shiraz over here. If you haven't set your wine over by the focus group area, please do so. And kind of hang out by your wine so you can answer questions.
Huh? That's what I like. It's the fruit. It's all fruit. It's plum. All plum juice.
I think you make wine out of plums.
You can make wine out of anything.
Obviously, in the prison wine. Do you have a back?
Always. And say hello there. How did it go?
Really good.
You got good levels and stuff?
No, these are our cameras.
Oh, you're just doing the camera part?
No, we're doing all audio stuff, but I mean, this is our camera. We're dealing with all little audio. We're not dealing with anything special.
Yeah.
So we get what you get, but
Yeah.
about a 45-second delay.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so whoever's online sees it 45 seconds after we see it. It's still not bad.
No, it's good for wireless. Great to have it. We'll see how this works out. We'll present it. We'll see how it works out. Yeah. Okay. Now that we know what our limitations are, it's a little bit different. What are you guys doing Sunday? Is there wine involved? There's always wine. That's part of it. Actually, the national state takes a lot of beer. That's what most people do, right? Tom, let's see how this goes out.
You got mine too.
Yeah, no, I think it could be,
It's short notice, but this is the season for that sort of thing. So it's all like.
that's how it works.
But he has to make it.
A couple friends,
You don't have to do live streaming because.
No, that'd be all.
Just take loads of shots.
Yeah, B-roll.
And then you put it all together. It's gonna be good. It's fun. It's a lot more fun. I knew they were a winemaker, right? So it's good wine.
Yeah, well, it's not just the magic which is brewed.
I went to some other stuff. We had wine country in our backyard.
Yeah.
Every other weekend it was wine country. So we never really went to the same wineries more than a couple times. Because there's so many to try, so many to taste.
Try them all.
Amazing. But just the idea of making wine at home.
No, it's good. And it's easy. It's really not
No way. It can't be that easy. Not for wine. Beer is easy.
wine is easy.
You got a beer?
Alright. Okay. Wine is
It's as easy. I made beer, but it was many years ago. Especially with the juice, the concentrated juice. It's like you have to make it out because it's like half the pump. So you double it in water. And add yeast. You need a bucket, put it in. And basically that's. Okay, you gotta do a little bit of voodoo to make it like really good.
you're making it nice and simple. It's all chemistry.
But like I said, a lot of fruit beers taste that way.
We made limoncello.
Okay.
Limoncello itself, it's not that easy. We ruined the first two batches. They were bad.
Most of that. So winemaking, when you start, it's only like $3 to $10.
Henry wine. Any more wine? No, I'm good. But yeah, grab some if you can.
I was gonna say it takes a lot more weed to grow weed. That's the one that got expensive. How do you put in there?
Well, that wine has
She drank the rest of that good shit. One stuff.
That's up.
They took a glass of the
They
down,
did?
took a glass of
No way. I'm sorry, dude.
I don't
There
need.
must still be some of that.
I giggled. I just thought it was good.
Huh? Drunk and high.
I got a good buzz.
Shut down.